Hi everybody, welcome back. Today's video is inspired by James Bassett. James had a great suggestion of beware of the chair. Just gonna get into it, give you my thoughts on the dreaded chair. What do I mean the dreaded chair? A lot of people have lost significant amount of times whenever they get to the aid stations, stopping, resting in the chair. That chair feeling so warm, comfortable after all that running. And it can be quite hard for racers and runners to get up out of that chair and keep moving. In fact, a lot of runners fall and don't finish the race DNF purely down to the gravity pull on that chair, just not being able to get out and deciding to quit. Coming up later in the video, I will tell you exactly how much the dreaded chair had an influence on my 200-mile races, in particular the first in 2019, as opposed to whenever I sat down and worked out exactly the impact of 2019 and made sure I didn't make them mistakes in 2020. A lot of people, especially during the ultras, can use the aid stations as a bit of a social aspect, chatting to other runners, chatting to the volunteers at the aid stations, chatting to the crew members. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's just the more comfortable you are at them aid stations, the harder it is to get going, the greater the chance is of seizing up. And look, I suppose depends on the length of the race. Certainly the longer the race, especially the like of a 200 miler, but even a 100 miler can have a huge impact. Most 50Ks, even 100Ks, a lot of people are gonna push through and keep moving, so it's not so much of a problem. More so whenever you come to the 100Ks, the hilly 100Ks where you're out there for a long time, the 100 milers, the 200 milers, the multi-day races. That's whenever that chair is at its worst. What if I told you before the race I could save you 1 hour on your finishing time? You would take it straight away, I'm sure, same as I would. What if I told you you didn't have to run any quicker, any faster, any more effort during the race to save that hour? You would still be very interested, I'm sure. What if I told you instead of during a 100-mile race where there was 10 aid stations, instead of stopping for an average of 15 minutes, you stopped for an average of 9 minutes? That was your hour saved straight away. Sounds simple. Have a plan. Figure out where you can save time before the race. Figure out how long you've got to spend in the dreaded chair, what your goal time is, and exactly how much time you have free, if any, to sit in that chair. Nothing good comes from sitting in the chair. Nothing. Absolutely zero. Lie down on the floor if you're tired and go to sleep. Keep running, keep moving, keep walking, keep crawling on, avoiding the dreaded chair. Really important the longer the race is. As I say, 50Ks, maybe even 100Ks, you're just going to go through, you're going to grab some stuff along you go. But if it's a longer race like the 100 mile, the 200 mile, you're going to want to have a plan in place for how long you intend to stop at each aid station, and this way really will help you get in and out of the aid station very quickly. Have that plan, make that plan a few weeks out from the race, a month out from the race, whatever it is, whenever you're feeling nice and fresh and not under the influence of tired legs, fatigue, all them things. Had a real positive effect on my race in 2020 for the 200 miler. I had a plan. My crew told me, Glenn, you have another 2 minutes, you have to be out. You've got a 5-minute stop as I entered the aid station. Just having that in place, that's what I had to stick to achieve my running goal and my finishing time. Have a plan in place. Know that if you are sitting in the dreaded chair, you're going to be sitting in it for X amount of minutes. Whenever that comes up, keep moving, keep going. Next one's really simple. Just don't sit. Don't fall for the chair whatsoever, especially if it's your shorter races. Come into the aid station, stand, get your nutrition, have your quick chat, fuel up, backpack ready while you're standing, and keep moving. Others will start stopping, sitting down. You're going to make up crucial time, getting ahead. Sounds really, really simple until it's not. On them longer races, it will be hard. Your legs will be tired. You will want to sit. But if you can avoid it, you have a much better chance of saving that time and not falling for that dreaded. You're socializing during the race with other runners while you're running along through. Have your chats, have your talk while you're moving, while you keep going. Whenever you get to the aid stations, a lot of people will be in different places. It's very easy to sit down and get caught up having that chat. Others are stopped and maybe need that little bit longer of a break. Maybe they don't have that race plan, which includes their stops. Remember, you're running your race, not other people's races. Stick to your plan, in and out as quick as possible. As for the aid station volunteers, the race organisers, be courteous at the aid stations. Say your hellos, thank yous, because without them the race wouldn't happen. Also, again, bear in mind, it's your time. Catch up with them after the race, before the race. Spend some good quality time with the volunteers, the race organisers, afterwards, at the after party, at the finishing line once you've finished. Whatever the real life situation of the importance of keeping moving at the aid stations. 2019, my first 200-mile race, I had a plan in place of how long I wanted to stop at aid stations. I had a plan on keeping moving. Things didn't go according to plan, but it wasn't until about 3 or 4 months after the race, whenever I did a bit of a review, that I was really shocked to see just how long I was actually stopped for. My overall time was 100 hours and 3 minutes. My moving time was 78 hours and something, which left a grand total of 23 hours nearly where I wasn't moving. Now this is going off Garmin and Strava, which absolutely blew my mind. I couldn't fathom where or how I'd lost so much moving time. Whenever I was planning for 2020, it was one of the things that was a strong focus for me, was to keep moving as much as possible, regardless of the speed I was going, to keep moving, keep pushing on. 2020, I run a race of 78 hours. My goal was 80 hours. I run a race of 78 hours, and even whenever I look back at Garmin, it tells me I had a moving time of 65 hours, which is still 13 hours of dead time out over 358k right now. It's still shocking to me where I've lost that time. Now, some of it could be GPS not picking up, some of it could be other things. Dramatically taking off that 13 hours from the previous year has had a huge effect on the finishing time and the placing of the race. Even though I know I slept for 1 hour and 50 minutes, on average I probably stopped at each aid station for 15-20 minutes on average, I would say. 20 aid stations. That time does add up. The big thing that helped me, as I mentioned earlier on, was I had a plan in place. My crew knew exactly how long I was stopping at each aid station. Some of them I left before the allocated time, some of them I left just after the allocated time, because I knew I had a little bit of time in the bank, depending on how I was feeling. Each and every one of them I tried to stay standing, apart from the ones where I was intending to sleep and have that rest. I tried to keep moving, keep focused on in and out. Even whenever I picked up the injury in the race and wasn't running as much, my focus was, let's just keep moving. let's keep walking. I knew I had to make up the extra time at the aid stations because my running pace time was down due to the Achilles injury. That just kind of highlights, as I say, especially in the longer races, 100 miles, 200 miles, how being time efficient, keeping away from that dreaded chair, will have a very positive effect on your race times.